shot 6 music videos in only 3 days. This wasn't a run and gun type of situation, but it also wasn't a high-end production either. It was somewhere in the middle, which is exactly why we faced so many challenges and hurdles, which ultimately almost ruined the production entirely. So in this video, I'm gonna share my entire experience, being the locations we used, the gear we implemented, and the mistakes that I made, in hopes that you don't fall victim to the same ones. Because honestly, that's how we all should be in this film industry. Open and transparent about our successes, but also our failures, so you and others can have more wins and less losses. So with that being said, let's get into it. And oh yeah, stick around until the end, because I'm also going to share with you what the budget was, which is kind of mind-blowing. Alright, so the artist for Lock Awesome reached out to me looking to shoot a visual album. If you don't know what a visual album is, I'm not finna tell you. She wanted to shoot 6 music videos with each video containing 6 looks apiece, which is nuts. So after convincing her to only do 4 looks apiece instead, which is still borderline nuts, to do in such a short period of time, I quickly put together a treatment with Adobe Express. Now, in order to accomplish such a crazy feat, I decided that for each song, we should shoot one performance on a colored backdrop, which would make me only have to come up with 3 other looks for each video. It would also help with time, since swapping out a backdrop and making minor adjustments to the lighting could be done in one location and cut out a potential company move. I'm not gonna dive too much into the creative process, but what I will tell you is I structured my ideas around props and locations I knew I already had or could get access to. And I plan to maximize each location to its fullest potential by trying to get a scene from each video at each location. Day 1, we started off at a church that was built in the 1700s. I reached out to this location because I wanted to have the artist performing in front of some beautiful glass-stained windows, knowing that it would be super easy to make this look cinematic. The very first scenes that we shot here took place in the sanctuary. We shot a performance scene of the artist in front of these beautifully stained glass windows, as well as some B-roll of her walking down the middle of the aisle, and essentially we lit both the same. So we shot a 1200D through an 8x4 grid for our key, and then off to the side used a 2x1 Gemini for fill. Opposite of this light, we used an F-22C as our kicker. My gaffer Eric Kitchens also Hollywooded a 2-foot Amazon right above camera to get a nice catch light in our talent's eyes.
What's up, YouTube? I'm Eric Kitchens, your gaffer. This is my key grip, Shannon Henley. He goes by Big Henley. What we do is we grab a light and we turn that light on. Yeah. And sometimes we turn it off. And that's the magic.
Our next setup, we flipped around and pointed toward the church's altar. I wanted to have a pianist and a guitarist in the scene as she performed the song. Here we took 2 combo stands and set up a Matthews mat pole with a drop-down magic finger with an F-22C above all of the talent. In my mind, I wanted this scene to have an angelic feel to it, and I think this was the light that helped achieve that.
Man, Deshaun, you know what we should call your film company? BBC, bro. Big black camera. Look at that big old.
The back wall fell off in the darkness, so we took a 600D and pointed at the ceiling to expose for that background. And then lastly, to pull all of our talent out from the background and make them pop more, we set up a Gemini 6X and pushed it through a 1x as a kicker. Our next scene, we set up some actors in a circle to portray an AA meeting. This was the first scene where we switched to a different song, because up until then, we were shooting for her song Anu. Since we wanted this scene to have a little weight to it, we went with the F-22C again as a top light, which we rigged to a mini menace arm, and then we placed some B7Cs around the room as practicals. And that was pretty much it for this scene. Everything was going good up until we moved on to shooting all of our backdrop shots. I didn't consider that since my artist came from the UK, which has a 5-hour time difference, that we were working into the hours that she normally sleeps. So we had to really push her and push her to get her to get through all the shots. But once we did, we all went home and we got a good night's rest. I'm totally lying. As a creator and a DP and many other roles, our job doesn't just finish at wrap. We of course had to pack everything up, drive 30 minutes home, and then I had to transfer footage and pick up my selects since the artist was wanting a really quick turnaround time on edits. Oh yeah, and I had to do the call sheet for the next day as well. So I didn't end up getting to bed until around 2 a.m. when call time for crew was 7 a.m. that next day. And of course, the next day presented even more challenges. So here we are on the second day. We were supposed to shoot a scene for a song called Love the Way You Love Me, but there was a miscommunication and the artist put on a different outfit for a different scene. Now, instead of making her change and eating up our time, I decided we should move that scene that we intended to do first to last, because we had a really epic scene that we planned on shooting later that night. And we needed to get to that scene as soon as possible to prepare.
So the look that we're going for today is a more like full glam look, because that's kind of what she was wanting to go with for her wardrobe that she has today. She has some really bold colors and kind of like a smoky eye. We have a lot going on, but it looks so good with the different colors in the background.
Okay, so we got some cool pink tones, which is Valentine's Day-esque, and the title of the song is Love the Way You Love Me. So these two Gemini 2x1s right here on the left and right of frame is bright pink, and that just kind of fills in her background a little bit, and we're spotlighting her because in this moment, you and me, right? So, it's very me in this moment, and she's kind of talking about, I feel like, love the way you love me. So we're just doing this little push in. We've actually got the lights in the frame. We've got the background stands in the frame because it's obvious when you're shooting on a backdrop that this is a film set. So why not just embrace that and just run with it?
So the artist couldn't find her phone, and for a lack of better words, turned the hell up on me. Everyone except me and the PAE had already left the location to move to the next to get ready for the challenging scene that I just mentioned. And the artist thought that the makeup artist had left with her phone. And like I say, she turned all the way up. But my prayers were answered because as she spoke to me sternly about the solution of going to the hotel to get her computer, I spotted the phone in her back pocket. Now, most people at this point probably would have been upset and, felt the need to say something. But I just was relieved. And I also knew we didn't have time to ponder over what had happened. I rushed to my car and we rushed over to our next scene where my crew was building the rain rig. Now, when you do a rain scene, you have to backlight it with a very powerful source so you can actually see the droplets on camera. So for this scene, we pushed the 1200D through the rain, setting it up in the far back. To camera right, we had a 600D and a Gemini shooting into a 4x floppy bounce and back through diffusion for our key. A little kind of like booklight. I was so happy because this was the shot that I was looking forward to, and it ended up being some of my favorite footage. One, because of how great the rain looked, but also because we shot on a higher frame rate and had the artist perform the song at a very fast speed.
Oh, that looked great! And cut! Woo! Let's go!
Which gave us a really, really dope effect when we slowed everything back down. Now, if you're interested in seeing how we built this rain rig with only $80, then I'll leave a link somewhere up here. We ended up wrapping the artist around 11, but we still had more rain scenes to shoot with other talent. So me and my team actually ended up not getting into bed until like 2:30 a.m. I was beat. I'm talking about like Michael Jackson. So beat that I was too tired to get the call sheet done for the next day, which would be a catalyst that would result in one, possibly even two of the videos being ruined. Since I didn't get the call sheet out the night before, when I reached out to the artist to let her know that we needed to start early before the sun got high, she wasn't prepared. So we ended up starting maybe 2, 3, 4, maybe even 4 hours later, and that was devastating to Love the Way You Love Me because most of it was outside. And we were supposed to shoot another scene for a different song that morning too, that we ultimately ended up having to push and, hope that we could get it later. After deciding to relocate to the city where the next scenes would be shot for time, me and my DP reluctantly shot the artist performing to what was my favorite song from her. It was hot and it was bright. And if you're a filmmaker, you know what that means. And there was nothing we could do but continue. The job had to get done. Well, there was a silver lining. I did come across this record store that I thought looked really cool. The owner let us use it. And the performance scene in there, I think, ultimately ended up being the best shot for that music video. And from there, things kind of went uphill. We moved to our final video, which I was really excited about. Yeshua, I wanted it to be mostly performance and incorporate a choir in white robes. With that and a really cool car, I knew we'd get some really, really dope shots. We ultimately shot with natural light for as long as we could, and once we lost the sun, we implemented lights. So we shot a 1200 through an 8x8 light grid for our key, and threw some parcel cans in the back as practicals. Now, other than that pickup scene that we had to do that we didn't get earlier that morning, that was pretty much it. Now, as promised, I'm going to reveal what the budget was for this project. The budget for all 6 videos was a whopping $8,000. Yeah, I know. You do the math, that breaks down to just $1,400 a piece. Now, my typical day rate, because I don't mind sharing numbers with you guys, for me is usually $2K a day, and editing is around $1K a day. Sometimes smaller, depending on if I like you. So with those numbers, how in the world did I get this done? Not only myself, but having such a large and talented team with me. Well, honestly, passion. I really like the songs, and I was really excited about working with my first international artist. I can't lie, she's super talented. And my friends, they loved my ideas, they loved the treatment, and they were willing to work for practically pennies. In hindsight, do I think it was worth it? I don't know yet. This project was really challenging and really stressful. I think ultimately I'll have to give it some more time to think on it. But what I do know is I can't continue to do passion projects and, have my friends come and help me, and ultimately we work really, really hard and then things not come out great because we weren't given an adequate amount of money and we're trying to do more than what the budget actually allows to satisfy an artist. I can't do that anymore. If you made it this far and you enjoyed this video, then I urge you, pretty please hit that subscribe button as well as the notification bell so I can keep telling you stories like this one. Well, hopefully not like this one. I think I learned a lot of very valuable lessons. I wish I would have learned those lessons with this shoot here.